Hello, lovely people. How are you? I hope you're well. Welcome to Mel's Musings. A bit later today. I was looking at the inspirational words that I picked today and was just sitting here waiting for that inspiration to come to their meanings. And because the first one I pulled was healing. And that immediately brought to mind. Yesterday I had to go and have a large tooth dug out and refilled. And the strange thing about it, the dentist had said to me it was quite rare because I all of a sudden started getting some pain. And the pain then went away, but I had organised to go and check it out with the dentist. And on the surface, he said, everything looks absolutely fine. So he said, I'm unsure as to what this real pain was. And then you start to think, don't you, I'm making a fuss about nothing. And I don't normally, I've got quite a high pain threshold, and I thought, no, something's definitely wrong. And then he took an x-ray and he said, oh, come and see, this is what's happening. And whilst there had been a filling there, underneath there was something going wrong. And he said, oh, this could be quite near the nerve, so we don't know whether we're going to have to do root canal work. Anyway, won't go into it any more than that. So I went along, and it's feeling a lot better now. So I'm really pleased that I didn't ignore my instincts that something was wrong. And whilst that's on the physical healing, it made me think about that whole scenario and the analogy of that on the surface, everything looks fine. And that can be anything in our life. That can be a physical situation, physical illness, where we know that something's not quite right and we might ignore it. It can be in our relationships. It can be in our mental health, our spiritual health, where we know something's not quite right and we need some help. And only we often can ask for that help. Or if we leave it, then help has to come because we hit that brick wall, don't we, where we then need that help. But for me, healing, and I do several healing modalities in my work, and for me it's always been a process in whatever type of healing it is. We like to some people think of healing as meaning a cure, an instant cure, and we might take a pill and think that that'll fix it. But again, sometimes taking the pill can be like the filling. It covers it over and it puts it off for a while. But we need to listen to our bodies and our minds and our emotions as to whether we feel something needs a bit more help, whether we need to dig deeper into our healing path. But then there's that lovely word that I love to hate, patience. It's back to that. Rarely is there an instant solution. Sometimes it might be wonderful. There might be an instant answer. But usually we have to have a bit of patience to dig around, like he did in my tooth, to find the answer. And we sometimes need a lot of help from a therapist, from a healer, from somebody else that can help us. And we need to accept that it is a process. But first of all, we need to admit that we're ready to dig deeper. And I certainly find, there are clients that aren't ready to dig deeper, to find out what's underneath, what looks okay on the surface. So the next one I love is with tenderness. So this isn't about beating ourselves up and saying, oh, I should do this and I should do that. And this is about looking at our healing path with tenderness, with gentleness, with asking for that from others. And maybe that is a relationship that needs some healing. And that sometimes is trickier, and we need to take that a step at a time. But first of all, to move away from blame. I know I can sometimes, when you're hurt by somebody, you can withdraw and put up barriers. Some people lash out. But sometimes we need that tenderness, don't we, to soften, to have patience, in order for the healing to start. And the other word that sort of fell out at the same time, and that really made me smile, is play. We need to lighten up, don't we? So looking deeper doesn't mean being deep, deep, deep. It can mean we have to soften that tenderness, that being a bit patient, but bringing laughter and play. Sometimes it is just, first of all, bringing play back into things. Looking at things like a child. How they sometimes, do you know when they fall over sometimes and you dust their knees off and then they go, okay, I'm all right. They cry, and then they're like, I'm all right. Or they fall out with their friends and then all of a sudden they make up and everything's fine and they skip off into the distance holding hands. And sometimes that's what I feel we need to bring into it is, whoa, let it go for a minute. Take away the deepness. Admit that we do need some help moving forward and we need to go on that healing path. And I always do say to my clients, it's a step at a time, and let's just start that journey. So I wish you all some wonderful healing as we start towards the next week with some very powerful alignments going on. We've got the new moon on Monday, and then the 21st, we've got the solstice. So be tender with yourselves, decide what it is. Maybe this is a time for deciding. New moon is a time for new lists, new, what do we want to achieve? But maybe it's time to start the healing process, looking underneath the veneer, the mask that we put on that says, I'm okay, I'm fine. Yeah, when actually we need to look a bit deeper and start that healing process. So I wish you all a wonderful day, and I will see you soon. Be well.